Good evening, everyone. It's been a while. You're listening to the Voices of Change only on Intellectual Radio, and I have a full, just all the look at Elliot. Oh, wait,
Oh,
wait,
that's what
wait,
Shamil started
wait,
saying. I'm
wait.
like, hey, wait a minute now.
Excuse me, now, who that is?
Who you think it is?
I
The
don't know.
one and
Tell
the
me. It
only,
sounds familiar.
a very familiar voice. That is the one and only Chicago's own Dante Hall.
Oh, Dante.
Oh, you thought it was Johnny
She-
Taylor or something? Oh,
Okay, she's so
girl.
brand new.
Dante. Hasn't he recently have a
Yes, I
grand
believe-
opening for a new restaurant?
Yes, in
Wow.
Melrose Park. It was last night and tonight, I believe.
We're going to have to get there. Matter of fact, we're going to have to ask the executive director about doing a live show there.
Yeah,
remote.
and becoming a sponsor. Hello.
A sponsor where?
For the show.
Yes,
Hello?
yes, yeah. You
Look.
know,
We know the people. Ask them.
last night
all
he
they
had
can do is
Isaiah
say no.
Sharkey. I wish I could have went. What'd
I'm
you
pretty
say?
sure we're
I
good.
said all they could do is say no.
You're
Just
right.
ask.
That's
And he's
right.
gonna say yes. I'm just
And you know what? This is a new year, 2020. So we're going to have to be aggressive, asking for sponsorships.
Indeed.
Well, I want to introduce everyone today. It's been so long that you guys haven't seen us. I'm Jan, the host.
I'm Elliot, the co-host.
And I'm Shamel, the other co-host.
Coco.
And to my right, we have
My name is Deontay Wilson.
Deontay Wilson. He is our guest today.
Yeah, Deontay Wilson. It seems like he's being a little bit shy. We're going to have to
Just
pull
a
him out of
little
that.
bit.
But you know what? I asked him when his birthday was, and he told me it was Capricorn.
Mm-hmm.
There is
January
nothing
9th.
shy about Capricorns. Believe that. Don't let them fool you.
You right.
Now, Deontay's here as a special guest. As you can tell, he kind of has an artsy feel. He is Deontay. Tell them
Mhm.
what you do. I'm a
I am a filmmaker, writer,
filmmaker, writer.
performance artist.
You an actor?
Yes.
Then I know you're not shy. He's an actor.
Well, I mean,
Good
I'm
to
not
know.
on stage.
What?
So where do you act?
Repeat
wait,
that.
wait.
Say that one more
Hold
time.
it. Hold it. Did he say not on stage?
Then what are you on in?
I'm not. I'm saying I'm currently not on stage.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm about to say he act on the
Currently
front
not
porch or
doing
something.
the
Something I missed. I just want to know.
I'm not saying I'm shy. I'm just saying, I'm
Quiet.
a different guy than I am when I'm on stage. That's all.
Got it.
I get it.
Gotcha.
It's something about when you're performing, you do turn to somebody else.
This is true.
You know, you kind of, yeah, I agree with that. Well, he's done a documentary that we're going to talk about in detail later on in the show. But Deontay's been kind enough to sit with us crazy people for the entire show.
Wait a minute. Who you calling crazy? Wait a minute.
You and
Shamel,
Jan.
No, that's
E. Roland,
Janice. That is
Jay.
all
You and
Janice.
Jan.
I want to put us in this all.
Oh,
this our
Jan.
show. We just here to help.
Hello. We just co.
Oh, so yeah.
Co.
Coco. Mhm.
Okay, Coco.
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 And
And the host. There it is.
Oh, well, I'm glad you just said Coco and didn't rhyme it with the okay. Thank you.
You know what? Bye.
Whoa, okay.
But it is Christmas time, so
You know.
It is Christmas time, and we are celebrating the end of the year show.
Woohoo.
And ironically, this is a beautiful green cup.
Oh,
And of all
yes.
days today, I have on this bright pink. You know,
Uh,
it's kind of a
Oh,
laid.
my
Now, I'm,
AKA,
now,
this is
now,
all
I'm
we
not.
hear
I'm just.
about.
I know. I'm.
Stewie and things.
Oh
we
my
know. We
I'm
just
just-
don't.
I was mentioning.
Never pass up an opportunity. I
Yeah.
feel you though. Do your thing. Go ahead. I'll let you be great. Go.
No, that's okay. That's quite okay. I was just bringing it out. The two colors are so complementary. I just thought it was just
Of
beautiful.
course. Absolutely
So-
wonderful.
Now, every show I start off with a scripture, and for today we're going to need a scripture because I can tell we are all the way live. It's from Jeremiah 29:11, one of my favorite scriptures, and it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." We talked about having sponsorship earlier, and we are going to aggressively try to get these sponsors. But right now, we do have a few of them that I want to mention. A shout out to our partners, Oda Enterprises in Indianapolis.
Woohoo.
Well, she hasn't been on for a while, huh?
No,
Oh,
I'm certain she'll pop on live at some point.
Also, GV Entertainment. Hopefully, we'll be seeing something from that theater group and film group soon. And also, this is January, Gray Tag Service. That's all I need to say.
Get
Pretty
your
soon.
taxes done.
Pretty soon. You've seen all the mimes about people getting their taxes. It's about that
Mimes
time.
or memes or whatever you want to call
It's about the memes, mimes, tomato.
There are two different mimes and
Mimes.
different memes, ma'am.
Mimes are memes Okay.
Miss Ma'am.
Well, I saw this show on Netflix and it was called Tomato Tomato. You ever seen it?
No,
No.
I have not.
Oh man, you got to see it. It's pretty good. It's all the actors are African and they're talking about this couple that got divorced and they're living in the same house,
Mm.
and it goes from there. Anyway, you'd have
Netflix
to
is
see
good
it.
about supporting a lot of
Netflix.
African shows.
The
I noticed that,
African
though.
no, the
They
African
do.
shows are taking over our shows. Well,
Well,
okay,
on
that
Netflix
sounds
anyway.
kind of.
I know what you mean. If you get on Netflix, you find an abundance.
But there's so many of them.
A lot, though. And I mean, it's good stuff.
It
I'm like, wow.
is.
I don't
I
even
feel like I
remember
was
watching
here when I
them
went
in
to
the
Ghana. I'm
braid
like,
shop.
What's happening to our filmmakers, our young filmmakers? I mean, they're the Africans.
well,
are,
we got one sitting to the right of us.
we
But I
sure
mean,
do.
You know,
We
hello.
I don't-
sure do.
I don't know. I hate to interject.
No,
No,
you're
you
supposed
please
to.
do.
My own philosophy is Africanist, so I see those African filmmakers as our artists.
Yeah.
I don't draw any distinction between the stories that Black people are telling in Africa, the
Mhm.
stories that Black people are telling in Jamaica, the stories that Black people are telling here in the States. I think that it's all one story, essentially.
I'd have to agree with that, and I applaud you. But I do see a
You know there's
distinct.
a butt
I knew there was
You
a
know
butt
there's a butt
coming.
coming.
I knew there was a butt
I
coming.
do see a distinct difference in the number quantitatively of those shows that have an entire African cast
Mhm.
versus an entire
African American
Um,
cast.
whatever you want to call it,
Okay.
African American cast. So that's the distinction that I was making. Yeah, we are all telling the same story, but I mean that kind of goes even beyond color lines when you talk about some of these themes.
Very true.
But I do see the difference, and being Janice older, I can also relate to what you were saying. Now we're gonna keep it moving.
Oh my God.
This is going to be a live show today.
It is don't you just enjoy it?
It's wonderful.
It has
What a way
been
to
so
go
long.
out.
How long has it been for you since you've been on the show? A month?
A month, 2 months maybe, because I don't think I've been on since maybe.
Were you here when was my
Oh my God.
No.
my Donnie was here?
My Donnie?
No.
Oh, you weren't here.
You weren't
Okay.
here, so you
I haven't
you
been
ain't
on since
here
I've been back from Ghana, I think.
We are
Well,
going to
no,
bring her back.
The last time I was here was the week that we were doing the play, like the week before.
Yeah, you came right after you came
Oh.
back from Ghana
Yeah,
because
I
you
did.
talked about Ghana. Yeah,
Mhm.
and now everybody's in Ghana. Beyonce's.
I
gone.
know. See, we started a trend. They just
It's
don't
a hot spot now. Okay.
I
because
know.
this
Let
is
me
the
get him
year
to
of the
go to
return,
Ghana.
so everybody wants to come and see, and it's a very powerful thing. I tell any and everybody, like I said before, if you have not gone before you leave the earth as an African American, you need to go and see where you come from and see what our ancestors had to endure. Everything that you read and that you hear is true, and then there's some stuff that you just did
Don't
not know
know.
that you're going to be told that's going to blow your mind.
Cool.
So it's worth it. It's very much worth it.
So I'm really glad that everyone now is kind of going there to vacay there instead of going to Europe or wherever,
Right.
which is really good. So, that's really
Mhm.
good. So we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back with just only a couple news stories. Then we will be talking to Mr. Wilson, and then we'll be talking about our hot topic today, which comes from the Steve 300. Keep talking. Okay, wait.
I'm
You want us
ready
to
to
keep
keep
talking?
going.
We can always keep talking.
We ain't got to take no break. We
No,
just keep going.
no. So what did you guys? How was your Christmas? Mine was fabulous. How was yours?
Yes. My Christmas was pretty cool. Spending with my family. We
Uh-huh.
had a very good time. I'm laughing and exchanging gifts and
And going
you
from
know,
house to house.
I only went to one house.
Really, you were there all evening?
Yeah, because I didn't leave my house till almost 2. And
Okay.
I get to my sister's house about 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Made one small run and was there and had a good time and stayed until like 9 or 10 o'clock.
And with the no, I think you were there later than that. What time? I called you late and you weren't home yet.
That was still
All right,
10.
Mom.
Okay.
Thank
No.
you.
But it was
I called you
very
later than
late,
that,
and I'm like,
you was
man, he's
not
not
at
back
home.
there. He's not back
No,
yet. I think you made another stop, bro. But
No,
that's okay.
no, I went home. I was tired after that. It was very good though.
Okay. And Miss
Shimmy.
Shimmy, how was yours?
Oh, mine was great. I was great. I went
Good.
to both houses, mom's side, dad's side. So it was great.
Good.
I didn't
Good.
leave out after I got home. I was like, well, we're going to stay right here since the party was at my house. I just went on upstairs to my
Oh,
apartment
that's nice.
and it was over.
Chef nuts roasted on open fire. Wow.
And Mr. Wilson, what about you?
Oh, it was great. I actually got to spend it with an old friend of mine, my old Boy Scout troop leader.
Wow.
And he spent Christmas with my family, and
Nice.
it was very nice. Yeah.
Good.
Cool.
Good. Okay.
Warm and fuzzy feeling.
Sounds like everyone had a good
Mhm.
time Christmas. So we're going to take a quick break and then come back with the news you can use. You can
I'm tripping out over you, baby, over you, girl. Yeah, I'm tripping out over you, baby, over you, girl. Yeah, each day I'm not with you is like a day without sunshine. I'm hung up on you, babe. You become a part of me. You're not like other girls, or is it my imagination? This pounding in my heart is all because of you. You got me tripping out over you, mama. Yeah, tripping out over you, girl. Yeah. Oh, now let me be your slave. For I've learned to worship you. I'll do anything you say, anything you want me to. Ooh, to me you are my queen, and I'm your knight in shining armor.
To those just tuning in, you're listening to the Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio. This particular segment is the news you can use. Mr. Bell,
ahead.
Mr. E.
I
Rowland.
was gonna say you were gonna talk about Mr. Hall before you started your news.
Oh, what about Mr. Hall?
Well, of course, we just heard him on our Coming Back In music, and today is his birthday.
Ooh.
So just in case he happens
Birthday.
to watch at some point between now and next week, we want to wish you a happy birthday, Mr. Dante Hall. Somebody said we should sing, but I'm like, all the people that are sung you today, you don't need to hear us sing. It's all right. But
You
we want to
know.
wish you a very happy birthday. We hope you are enjoying yourself. Thank you for being a friend of the show.
Absolutely.
Always
Thank
come
you.
in whenever you can to support us, and we greatly appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that shout out to Dante Hall. The world lost the beautiful voice of pop star George Michael 3 years ago on Christmas Day. In a sad coincidence, his younger sister Melanie passed away also on Christmas Day of this year. Their sister found her dead in her home. Officials have not revealed a cause of death, but it's not being treated as suspicious. Melanie was close to her brother and recently posted a holiday message that talked about how much the faith singer loved Christmas. She was 55.
Wow. Young.
I know, both of them on Christmas Day. Now, what do you think that family thinks about Christmas? Yuck.
Christmas sucks.
Yike.
You know?
But you gotta have faith. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
She couldn't help it. She
Well,
had to
you
do
know,
that. She couldn't help it.
you gotta have faith keeping going
That's
during
true.
the season.
That's
It's
true.
true.
And you have to think of, because from a Christian standpoint, that's supposed to be one of the most beautiful days in one's life, the day that they leave.
Yeah.
I still haven't embraced that conceptually, but at least 2 people were reportedly killed in a shooting inside a crowded church
That's crazy.
near Fort Worth, Texas. The terrifying scene captured on video Sunday morning today.
Mm.
It was not immediately clear what led to the incident, but footage of the incident shows what appears to be a man shooting at least two people and then get shot as he tried turning his weapon at the crowd again. The service during the shooting was streamed live.
Can
Wow.
you,
Can you believe that?
wow. Can you
Unbelievable.
imagine watching church
Yeah, you're watching like whoever, and then they start
and
shooting.
Just,
what?
it's unbelievable.
That's why they did it. They did it for all the, they wanted
Some
to.
publicity.
Jeez. This story really struck home. And I don't know, Shamel, you 21. You may. Linnea Bell had a promising
Not
future
21.
and attended Michigan State University on an academic scholarship and continued to amaze her family with stellar grades while juggling a part-time job. She was planning to major in business and journalism and looked forward to traveling after graduation. While home on winter break, she was shot and killed late Friday in an apparent domestic incident on the South Side. Bell of North Lawndale Prep, was shot in the head about 9:50 p.m. while in the bedroom of an apartment in the 8100 block of South Maryland Avenue in the South Side East Chatham neighborhood. Police have a male acquaintance in custody.
Poor baby was at home coming to visit. It's
And you
just-
hear that so many times. They come home from school
Yep.
or whatever, and she's staying with her. She's lived west, stayed with her little boyfriend.
See, this is
and-
why we don't go on the South Side. No, I'm joking. Let me
Oh,
stop.
that's what I was thinking.
But there's always
Hey,
there's always been
hey.
that joke this week about
That is been that joke.
West Side is going to the South Side.
I
Somehow
know.
we don't have these problems on the West Side.
I don't go. I go to work and I come home. Okay,
You know,
that's the
but
most I
no.
do.
I
Pray
feel
at
you,
school. Okay,
I go on
Pray-
I-94 and go to Indiana. Keep going.
but no, for real, that is
Sad.
No,
very
seriously.
unfortunate.
That
And-
was horrible.
And I really thought that we had kind of gotten over this whole thing of, I can come home for a break and go back, but apparently,
No,
It
you can't
happens
go
a
back to doing
lot.
what you used to. It's
It
not
happens.
safe.
Yeah,
no
that's
matter
a
where
lot
you
of-
think you are.
You can't even go back to the same crowd sometimes.
you really
you
shouldn't. You can't. And a lot of kids. That's why a lot of kids when they go away to school. That's why they go away, and why a lot of them do not come back home
For break.
at
And
all.
if they
Right,
do
for
come
break.
home for break, I came home for break. I stayed in the house.
Right.
You
I
did
mean,
when you came home?
what?
You had
I used to binge watch shows. I ain't a whole month. I was at home.
Wow.
At home.
Yeah, and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
Maybe I missed it. Did they say anything about the motivation behind the?
It just said a apparent domestic incident. So
And speaking of that, here's another one from a young woman.
Hmm.
Finley Scott of the 7900 block of South Shore Drive was charged with the murder of Juanita Hankins, 32. Bond was denied for Finley Scott in Central Bond Court. Finley Scott, that's a perpetrator, the guy who did it, was not in court Saturday because he was hospitalized at the University of Chicago Medical Center with self-inflicted stab wounds, which Cook County Assistant State's Attorney Lindsay Riddick said he inflicted on himself Christmas Day after the murder. Hankins, the woman who was shot, stabbed, a mother of two, was found beaten to death on Christmas Day inside a room at the Beverly Motel and Suites near 95th Street and Vincennes Avenue. They dated the summer before, had an explosive breakup, but managed to try to rekindle the relationship and meet at the hotel.
Hmm. That's really sad.
I know, too, in a row, I said, I'm not doing any more of these.
You get so upset in one instance as a young person. You get so upset that you're going to shoot the person, and then you really haven't gotten over your breakup. So I feel like you got back together with her just to make her pay for breaking up with you.
yeah.
Or maybe they were trying to get back together and, normally the same thing that broke you up, it pops back up again.
Yeah.
And something happened or something was said and he just snapped. But he beat her to death in a hotel room.
See,
He just didn't hit her. He beat her to death.
you have to be careful who you pair yourself with.
Absolutely.
Check these people out. Sometimes you got to do a background check. Got to see what's going on with them.
Hello.
It's a real deal.
Catch out an ex like, so why you not with him? You know,
Right.
No, seriously though. I
You
mean,
need to
and I know
ask.
people don't want to talk about it. Maybe
But
it's
it's
But
true.
you need to ask, like, okay, why did y'all break up? Why, those are things you need to know.
That's.
But do you
like-
think someone would really tell you?
serious.
Do you think? I mean, okay, if
I
someone
would.
asked me, "Why did you break up with what you got?" Well, I would.
I mean, you would, but not
But
everybody
everybody-
will, because
Yeah.
everybody. Well, excuse me when I say this like this. This is really not how it needs to be said, but I'm saying it anyway. Everybody's crazy is not going to be in the forefront. Their crazy come up on you later.
Yeah, they're
And
gonna get you
everybody's going
good
to always
in
defend
the
their
beginning.
crazy too.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to be honest about who they are.
That's true. Absolutely.
And it's sad. You're not going to always give you a real reason for why you did it. It's going to always be, well, they did this. Well, no, what's going on with you?
Yep.
So.
I don't know. It's just two young black women getting beaten by their ex-boyfriends or boyfriends or whatever. It's
Got to be careful.
I think there's also something to be said about just that there's some toxicity in the masculine and what masculinity has come to mean in our culture, because this story, I mean, I feel like I've heard it too many times.
I know.
In the past year.
In order for you to prove your manhood, you got to do something stupid like that.
Like beat somebody?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something about the fragility of the male ego in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Or
you can't say anything.
Or they snap.
Right. Which kind of speaks to
Insecure.
Yeah, the insecurity. I think, well, that's a whole nother topic. We don't even talk.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, but it's good. This is sad. This is pitiful. This is
you have insecure men who also don't.
But don't
know
you
how
seem to have
problem.
more of them? I mean, I'm not.
They're showing up more because, we're taught not to be expressive. We're taught not to be. Women are the more expressive beings. That's what we're taught. So you don't need to be expressive as a man. You're just supposed to be, hard all the time. There's no room for you to be expressive and because
Soft.
right, you can be soft when you express yourself.
I definitely think that's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think
So
it's
if you're
like
expressive,
a
you're
big
considered to
part
be
of it.
soft.
Yeah.
Well,
in a sense.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. No.
And it's not totally, but it's part of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah.
And so it's like, you become if I say this, oh, you're whining, you're complaining, you're being soft, for lack of better words at the moment. You call it a bunch of other things outside of that.
Names, yeah.
Yeah, and so to keep yourself from being seen as that way,
you're called this by everyone, or by the woman you're with, or by
sometimes
just
by
generally.
the woman you're with, sometimes
That's
by
disrespectful.
your peers, sometimes just in the culture that we grow up in. Being a man speaks to being strong, speaks to being provider, but it also speaks to just being, you're this very hard exterior about you. They're not supposed to see you cry. They're not supposed to see you express yourself. You're not supposed to be emotional. That's the thing that they put in front of you. Anything less than that, then you consider to be left to the men in some cases. You have emotions, but they don't need to see it. And this is why a lot of men are going through a lot of mental issues, because what you don't express is going to pop up in other ways. I.e., I'm end up knocking you out when I can't, because I can't use my words.
Now that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I've been told not to say this like this. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna knock you out. I'm gonna use my hands. I'm gonna go get a gun. Because talking cheap in some cases, not all, but that's what it ends up being.
Yeah. Very unfortunate. But for all of those that may be struggling with mental illness, another shameless plug, anyone that lives in the North Lawndale, East West Garfield Park, there is a mental health center there at 3019 Harrison, and anyone in that community, in those communities, can go.
Just an additional quick shout out. There's also St. Anthony's Wellness Center on 16th in Hamlin, and they're offering free mental health services to the North Lawndale community.
Amazing.
That's perfect.
Wonderful.
That's two different places. So if you need, and I think everyone, no one likes to say this, but I think there comes a time when everyone needs to talk to someone.
Yeah.
When things are like so heavy or whatever. So there's no shame in that. But to your point, maybe women are more open for that.
They tend to be.
I don't know.
It appears to be that way.
That narrative needs to change.
Yeah,
it needs to change.
We all need a little help.
Yeah, we do sometimes. Not all the time, but when we need it, we need it.
Yeah.
Out of Atlanta, another a small plane en route to a college football playoff game crashed into a post office parking lot in Louisiana shortly after takeoff Saturday, killing 5 people, including a well-known sports reporter. The plane was an 8-passenger aircraft, and 6 people were on board. 5 of them were killed. The 6th person is in the hospital. A person who was either in or near a car on the ground was also impacted by the crash and was being treated for injuries. Steve Enzim Esminger Jr., son of the offensive coordinator for the Louisiana State University football team, said his wife, Carly McCord, was on board the flight and died when it crashed. He said the plane was en route to the Peach Bowl playoff game in Atlanta between LSU and Oklahoma. We all hate to hear about airplane crashes because everybody has to get around. I mean,
it's the time of year we all flying somewhere.
yeah, I mean, that's the way, that's many times the only way to go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's unfortunate. This was interesting. I didn't even hear about this. U.S. forces conducted airstrikes in Iraq and Syria against 5 facilities the Pentagon says are tied to Iranian-backed militia, blamed for a series of attacks on joint U.S.-Iraq military facilities housing American forces. The strike occurred today at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. They stand as the first significant military response in retaliation for attacks by the Shia militia group known as Katlib Hezbollah that have been injured numerous American military personnel, according to U.S. officials. You know, every time I hear about a strike, I think, okay, now what can of worms is this going to open up?
Every time.
I mean, that's, and I hate to think like that, but you always think, okay, so now they're striking, now what? And sometimes it almost seems like things that are happening is masking other things. Like, you know, you have the impeachment going on, everything else going on. Now this, it's like, that's the news you can use today. And we're going to come back quickly with.
I'm going to tell you about that later. Go ahead.
You can tell me now.
No, because you brought up impeachment, and all of us on social media, we were cracking up laughing because we realized how many people really did not pay attention in school about how this impeachment process works.
Yeah, because they think the first impeachment, he's impeached, he gone,
right,
he out.
And it does not work like that.
It's like, oh my
like,
gosh.
did you all pay attention? Did you pass U.S. history?
Not only that, most of them were around. Well, some of them may not have been old enough to know when Clinton was impeached.
Right.
Remember, he was impeached.
He was impeached.
But he's not. It's a 2-part.
It is. It was quite funny. The statuses we saw, we're like, really? Okay, you didn't go to school. You didn't pass this class. We could tell because you're excited about this. No.
Because I'll be perfectly honest, I would be shocked. Right now, it's really partisan. It's split down the middle.
Yeah.
Now you know they're not gonna. I don't know. Something just out of the norm would have to happen for that to happen. Because how it's going now, the Republicans are voting one way, and the Democrats, for the most part, are voting another way. So.
And the funny part is. You know, we've all been referencing The Simpsons from the start of his term, how The Simpsons had a show years ago where he became the president of the United States. And at the end, he died. And so somebody posted, don't give up yet. The Simpsons have not been wrong yet. And they posted the picture of when he died and he's in the coffin. I said,
what did you? I didn't see that one.
A lot of people didn't see it, but I vaguely remember it.
But the Simpsons have been right on the money. I mean, that's jokingly, but they have
been right about a lot of stuff, and it's so crazy. So I don't know. Not that I'm speaking such a thing on anybody, but I wouldn't be surprised given the history.
My God! You know what?
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, it'd be the first. I think if it happens, it'll be the first one that we're able to witness of a sitting president, you know, passing away.
Yeah, during our lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already witnessed history already, so you know, never know.
Only you would make that with The Simpsons. Thank you so much for that again, Elliot. That's the news you can use. We're going to be right back with an interview with our guest host today, Mr. Deontay Wilson.
IntellectualRadio.com. Feed your brain. Feed me now. Stop them.
What about my love? Seems you have forgotten love. I do believe that something went wrong somewhere.
those just tuning in, you're listening to the Voices of Change. This is the moment we've been waiting for. We have this young man right next to me, Mr. Wilson. Oh my gosh, he's making all these faces.
Such a build up. I don't know.
No, come on, drum roll. Come on, do it. Okay, so now we are going to talk to Deontay Wilson. And I'm going to just read just a little. Is this from, you used to live in San Francisco? Where'd you live?
No. Well, I lived there and I went to grad school there, and I started my career there as an artist for all intents and purposes.
Okay, and American Limbo was?
Yeah, that was my first solo project. I actually wrote and produced and starred in that while I was still in grad school.
Okay.
Tyler Perry movie.
Oh.
Not quite.
Richard Pryor is the first person to do that, so let's get it right.
All right. Well, American Limbo explored the economic, social, and moral plight of inner city African American men in densely poetic, intellectually riveting, and strikingly performed vignettes.
Yes,
vignettes.
ma'am.
Yes. Thank you so much. So now, tell us about, since you said you went to grad school, so tell us about undergrad. Where'd you go? Where'd you go to grad school? What'd you study?
I went to Western Illinois University down in Macomb.
Yeah.
I studied political science there. The plan originally was to be a lawyer, but I don't know. I was playing football down there and I got injured, and while I was rehabbing, I started writing again. I hadn't really written since I was a kid, and I don't know, I really got into it, and I enrolled in an acting class, learned more about acting, to write better roles for actors, and I don't know, long story short, I ended up in grad school in San Francisco at the American Conservatory Theater.
What were you majoring in there?
It's a program that turns out classically trained actors. Denzel went there, Annette Bening went there, Nicolas Cage went there.
Big names,
Winona Ryder went there. Elizabeth Banks went there. So it's a very prestigious program.
And very tough to get in.
Yes, very selective.
After getting out of there, what did you do? Just wondering, just curious.
I had the opportunity to take American Limbo on the road. I actually won a pretty substantial award.
What did you win?
The Wallace Alexander Young Californian Playwrights Award. It was a $50,000 grant.
Wow.
The original plan was to go to travel the country to various Black communities, gathering stories, and to eventually produce a work of theater based on those stories. That didn't happen. I got married, and it was not an ideal time to, get on the road and be away from my wife at months at a time. And so that did not materialize.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. No. You can, that's fine. That's what we want to hear.
She has all the questions. So
we want to hear all that. So tell us about your project that you're doing right now on the West Side, and tell us what link do you have to the West Side? Are you from the South Side?
No, ma'am. I grew up on the West Side.
I just wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Grew up on Douglas and Kedzie. I went to Our Lady of West Side schools. Our Lady of West Side at the time. I went to St. Agatha. I went to Precious Blood. And so I grew up there, and then because of St. Agatha, because of the SAFE program, I ended up getting an opportunity to leave the city for a while, I guess.
Okay,
That's great.
Wonderful.
when you think about your beginnings growing up on the West Side, a lot of times when people come from different areas, you really have a love for it, and you really have that never leaves you. And sometimes people don't. Sometimes people want to leave. How do you feel about it? Is that why you wrote about the West Side, because of your love for it, or did you write about it because it's something to explore?
I wrote about it because of my love for it. I wrote about it because I've lived a lot of different places since I moved away from here, and I've never felt comfortable, completely at home, anywhere else in the world the way I do when I'm on the West Side.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's probably strikes some people. It's a weird thing to hear, given the narrative about the place. But I still find beauty in it, and the people there, the culture there. At one time, that place taught me everything I needed to know about myself, about my people, about my history. You see what I'm saying? And so everything that I am, the building blocks that make up me as an artist, as a person, those blocks were molded on the West Side.
Wow.
I love it.
I know. We're
I
gonna say,
love it.
woo, wow, that was like you felt that.
Yeah.
So tell us about your documentary. What's it about?
Well, I'm actually doing two documentary film projects right now. One called Project Reconstruction. Let me see. I'm trying to make the spiel as short as possible. I never knew my father. I didn't have a relationship with my father. I only saw him 2 times in my whole life. And I didn't realize how deeply that affected me until I had a son of my own. And Project Reconstruction is sort of documents my journey to meeting my father posthumously and to meeting his family, meeting his people, so that I can answer my son's questions about where I come from, essentially where he comes from. Questions that, I never had the answers to growing up. And so that's that project. West Side Stories is a project. I'm profiling people on the West Side who are doing positive things. Just talking about the narrative, the reputation of the place. I want to show something different because there is a lot of positive there, and the culture is still very vibrant and still very community oriented. And that part of the story, the place needs to be shown too. And so, I've been following people around who are doing positive things, who are trying to make a change. In my mind's eye, I see it as a story about warriors, okay, in a fight for the soul of this city, in a fight for the West Side in particular. And so those are the people who I want to spotlight.
Come on.
Wow.
Okay.
Ooh-wee.
When did this come out?
Woo. Yeah, right. How do we see it?
Well, see,
right.
here's
That's a good question. How do we
Is
see it?
anybody I know in it? Like,
Right. Okay.
Well, some of the part of the problem is the scope of the story of the place, the number of stories, individual stories that need to be told, is a little broader than I anticipated. And this is an effort that I am doing. I completely on my own.
Wow.
I film it. I set up the interviews. I do the research. I read everybody's books, everybody's research papers. I do the questioning. I do the editing. I do the
Oh
writing.
my goodness.
And so it is not sustainable. And so I've run into a few hiccups along the way. Delay. But thanks to some pretty timely support from St. Agatha, from Father Larry over at St. Agatha, I'll finally be able to finish shooting it this week, and hopefully I can edit
Wow.
it within the next week.
That's aggressive.
And put it out. Yeah.
Great.
Wow. We get it.
Yeah.
How many people are in it? How many people have you interviewed?
Oh wow. How many people have I interviewed for this particular segment that I'm going to put out? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
6 people.
Wow.
6 heroes or whatever. Okay.
Well,
Warriors.
yes,
Warriors. That's
yes.
right. Warriors.
There is
Right.
one. There is
West Side Warriors. I
There
like
is
that.
one woman that is the center of the story,
Oh,
and there are people around her working with her, who can attest to, the strength of her character and the importance of her story.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Come on, bringing it back to where you came from. That's what you call it. Which is important because most people they don't come back. They stay in that limelight wherever they came from in San Francisco.
Cali, of course, yeah.
They don't want to come back. It's like, oh, we're gonna talk about it, but I ain't gonna go back. I'm not gonna be in that area again because I've moved on from that already.
Mhm.
And it's not about that. That's where you're from. That's like most people, their family still live there. Like you don't just cut off where you came from. And that's important.
That's important.
I was fortunate I was a part of the SAFE program at St. Agatha, and in the summer of '93, the CBS program 48 Hours did a segment on our program, and the directors of that program selected me to be featured in that segment. And after it aired, some people saw it and put some money together and moved me, my mom, and at the time my three brothers off the west side and into the suburbs. They hooked my mom up with a job, got us an apartment rent free for a year. They paid for me a private school education and really sort of set my family up for success. And now my four brothers, at least on my mother's side, my brother Renardo is an economist and he's in law school. My brother Rick is an engineer with Verizon. My brother Reggie is a recruiter for a major tech company. My brother Rashawn is in his last year at Loyola and he's going to be able to do whatever he wants to do after that. And that was all because of my connection to St. Agatha. Okay. That place in particular means a great deal to me because in my view, it saved my family. What is the cost of 5 lives to you? It is everything. It means everything to me. Okay. And so I've been trying to get the footage from CBS because I want to use it in my documentary and they're fighting me. But at the end they did 2 segments on my family. The end of the first segment, Father Mike Ivers, who was a former pastor at St. Agatha, and Kathy Harris are walking down Douglas and they're talking about me. And Father Mike says that it was sad to see me go because it's not good to rob the community of potential future leaders. And then it cuts to me making a promise that no matter where I go and what I do, my primary goal in life will always be to come back to the West Side and give back something to the community that gave everything to my family.
Wow.
You better preach, okay?
Oh my gosh. Woo.
Wow.
We applaud you.
Wow.
CBS holding out. They need come on, CBS. just give up the tape. It's from '93. It's like 26.
Wow. That's powerful.
So I always planned on coming back here, always. I
And you
ended up
kept your
here
promise. And you kept your promise.
a little earlier than I anticipated, but this place has always been calling me back.
And we're glad you're back. We're glad you're back.
Wow.
Now, speaking of being back and you're doing so many great things, what are your future plans?
That's a good question. I think what I'm if I try to step back and take as objective a view of my effort as is possible, I think what I'm in the middle of is a sort of grassroots media effort, and I want to expand that effort. I have ideas for content that is entertaining. I have ideas for content that is informative, and I realize that I'm going to have to do a lot of the legwork, most of the legwork in the early stages on my own, and that's fine. But that's the future goal.
So you still want to continue and even expand the work that you've started on the website?
Absolutely.
Wow.
More stories, more communities, more Black people telling their stories by themselves on their own terms. Yes.
We cannot wait to that. Okay, so what about the other one? The reconstruction one? Is that going to be something is that just personal, or is that going to be something that you're going to let others see?
See,
Just curious.
that I'm going back and forth on exactly what I want to do with that one. It's taken me to some places I didn't anticipate. And so my original goal was to use it as to make it into a film series. I think I just might do one film and try to distribute it myself. Get a deal with AMC theaters and try to distribute it myself.
And you probably should, because I'd imagine that there are a lot of young men out there that haven't connected their fathers.
Yeah.
So there's probably quite a few of them out there, and by you doing this, I can help them.
That's the goal. Yes, ma'am.
And it's interesting how you said how it impacts you. What?
Yeah.
Did it go out? Oh, he called her.
We good? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll be on YouTube and iHeart.
Okay. When I was a kid, there was nothing more. I wanted nothing more than to have a relationship with my father. Okay. And
even as a little kid,
kid.
Okay.
Okay. And I had this really great teacher at St. Agatha. My third grade teacher, Miss Uletta Johnson.
Miles?
Miss Uletta Miles.
So I'm about to say,
She
that's
was
my girl.
Well, she was Miss Johnson
Before, right.
Before she
when
got
I was in
married.
love with her. You see, we were supposed to get married, and then Kenny Miles came in,
And just
Got
Gotcha.
the way, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
But she really believed in me. She had a lot of and I took that with me even after I left, and she she had this thing where she could make you feel like you were special, and she made me feel special. My mother made me feel special. They would say, you're a smart kid, you can talk to people, you got a bright future, you're special. And I would think, well, if that's true, why doesn't he want to have anything to do with me?
Yeah, that's got to be. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And so it puts a doubt in the back of your head. There's always this voice, you know what I mean? Like, am I good enough? Is what I have to say. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
And something about that thing, that old trope, it's never the love you got, is never good enough. It's always the love you didn't get, that you yearn for, and I didn't realize how deeply it affected me until my son, a 5-year-old at the time, challenged me on it and made me look at it. You see what I'm saying? And then it made me wonder, how many other brothers are out there messed up behind it?
Yes.
And maybe they don't even know it. Maybe they don't even know it's what's at the core of what ails them. And so I set off to making this film.
Have you gotten answers at all?
I've gotten
some answers.
I've gotten a lot of answers.
Okay.
Some to questions I didn't even want to ask, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we are going to take, you know what, this has been so powerful. I had really planned, I said, well, he's going to come in here. We'll probably talk to him about 10 minutes and then we're going to go on to the Steve 300, but that's a good kickoff for New Year's because it talks about vision boards and setting goals. And Mr. Wilson has been, wow, this has been riveting. I'm pleasantly surprised. I don't know what I expected, but this has been riveting. So we're going to go on a quick break and then we're going to come back and close out and let you close out for us. We'll be right back. Voices of Change on Intellectual Radio.
I'm tripping out over you, baby, over you, girl, yeah. I'm tripping out over you, baby, over you, girl, yeah. Each day I'm not with you, it's like a day without sunshine. I'm hung up on you, babe. You become a part of me. You're not like other girls, or is it my imagination? This pounding in my heart is all because of you. You got me tripping out over you, mama. Yeah, tripping out over you, girl. Yeah. Oh, now let me be your slave, for I have learned to worship you. I'll do anything you say, anything you want me to. Ooh, to me you are my queen, and I'm your knight in shining armor. Standing guard over our love, the love you give to me. You got me tripping out.
For those of you just tuning in, boy, did you miss something. If you're just tuning to see the rebroadcast, this guy's story, I cannot wait to see it on the big screen. It's touching souls and touching people here. And I cannot wait till he can produce it in mass when it could touch and heal so many. Mr. Wilson, I want you to, if you have anything to say in closing, we only got a minute or so left on the broadcast. If you have anything else to say, please do so.
We have a thing in our community where we say, it takes a village, to raise a child. And because of this thing, this sort of epidemic of fatherless children, broken families, it's going to take a community effort in order to fill the void that has been left in so many lives of our children. And so I would encourage all of the brothers out there, you know what I'm saying? Whether it is your biological seed or not, if there is a Black child in your life who is missing a father figure, take the mantle. Don't ask permission. Get involved. Because you never know that you could be the difference between a success story and a tragic one.
Gee, that's powerful. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Wilson. We're going to be back next week, and man, so when this comes out, you've got to come back.
Absolutely.
You've got to come back anyway, because I could see doing a whole show on this, because I think about Tanya, because her father has been, but I thought there was a reason for it because of her brain tumor and all that. But I'm looking at people that have none of that, and the fathers still aren't nowhere to be found, and it's just, this is something that we can. So we'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about New Year's stuff, and we're going to talk about the Steve Harvey's 300, which basically talks about vision boards and stuff like that. And we're going to have Mr. Wilson back on real soon. He said he gave us an aggressive schedule for when this is going to come out, so we're going to have him back as soon as the schedule allows. Elliot, Shamel, you got any closing things to say for the end of the year, 2019?
Happy New Year.
That's right.
Enjoy the rest of this 2019 because 2020 is here.
2020.
I have no words.
I know. I'm still like,
I have no words.
thank you so much. And we want to see you next week at 6 p.m. Voices of Change, Intellectual Radio. Have a good week. See you in 2020.
Ladies and gentlemen, initializing. You're tuned in to IntellectualRadio.com.